I was the good girl. I was the one that, did her activities, sports, dance, theater, honor roll, went off to college, got my bachelor's degree, got married, had family, had the career, the American dream is what everybody's, going for, right? And then when I got pregnant with my second daughter, I started having hormonal migraines. And so the doctor gave me like 20 Percocet a month. That was it. And then in between, I'd use those in between the ER visits I have to go to get Demerol and Phenergan shots. And that was the only way I knew how to deal with it. And then what really led to me being on opiates and all of the big pharma was a rollover accident in 2006. And that was in Oregon. And that rolled my car 3 times. My window broke out, so my head and my arm hit the concrete every time. And it gutted out my hand, so it was hanging by this right here. So it's all put together with pins and needles and lots of scar tissue. You wake up in the hospital and you've got IVs in and the stuff is flowing in you already. And I'd never done a drug in my life other than those 20 Percocet a month that he'd given me. That was it. And I'd never done any recreational drugs. I'd never been drunk in my life even. But just a split second. That's all it was a split second. And what happened to me that put me to the pills changed my life forever. You wake up in the hospital, you have all this stuff in your veins. The morphine didn't work for me. They had to eventually start using Dilaudid with me. And you go home with prescription bottles. So I had to have a home nurse come in all the time to clean my wound. I had 9 surgeries, months, years of physical therapy. And so you lose who you are through all of that. I lost who I was. And the thing is you take one medication and then that causes side effects. So then you are put on another medication to take care of that side effect. And this is how you end up getting the multi-layers of medication. And when I decided eventually to go off my meds and do cannabis, I was on my highest of Neurontin, which is a nerve pain, was 2,400 milligrams a day, 60 milligrams of OxyContin a day, 50 milligrams of Percocet a day, 10 to 30 milligrams of Baclofen, which is a muscle relaxer, plus the diabetes, 1,500 milligrams of metformin, Lasix for the edema, for the water retention, because that was from the opiates. The list goes on and on and on and on. And I always took supplements too, because I was really concerned about my organs, putting all of that into my body all the time. So I took a kidney flush and a liver flush supplement all the time. So I no longer have to take those either. And then when you start taking medications like the opiates and the muscle relaxers, they affect your digestive system.
Right.
So your bowels aren't working right. So then you're having to take a stool softener and a laxative on top of that. Because your blood sugars are affected by the trauma and by everything going on in your body. Eventually I ended up even on statins for cholesterol and the list just went on and on. And as I went through my journey, you don't realize that this is happening.
Right.
Because it's such a slow progress. And you're dealing with surgery after surgery. So you are in you're in that fight or flight mode all the time.
Yeah.
There's no way to just be still. And once you start taking those medications, they start to dull your senses. So you don't realize what's going on anyways. And then it'll get a really deep, sharp electric pain through it. And
Right.
that will happen when the barometric pressures drop outside. And I figured this out because I started journaling. And I think that is that's huge. I think if anybody's going to change anything in their life or do any kind of even just a small change, it's good to record it, because then you're able to go back and reflect and go, okay, what worked for me? Something's not working right now. What did I do different? What did I change?
Right.
What can I look at? And that's what I did. When I didn't want to be on these meds, I would say that to my doctor, and she'd say, well, let's titrate you down then. And so every spring and summer, I would get off the OxyContin or methadone, because I actually was on methadone for 18 months too.
Wow.
Yeah, so here I'd never done an illicit drug in my life, And now I was, I guess you could say, a synthetic heroin addict, not by choice. And I mean, I was not just on the opiates, I was taking antidepressants and anti-anxiety medications too, and multiples of those. And I think that there is a place and time for every pharmaceutical. I don't think that we shouldn't be without them. God gave us the ability to create these medications for a reason and for to have a better quality of life. But the problem came in when they knew that something was going on with this medication. They knew it was addictive, and they kept prescribing it. That's where the problem comes in. We ended up watching YouTube videos, learning about Rick Simpson, learning about this oil that he had come up with that was so popular in helping people. And we were hooked up with somebody who makes it, and we got 1 gram, a syringe. And I started it by taking a half-size grain of rice with a spoonful of peanut butter. That was it. Within 2 weeks, my blood sugar started dropping. I sent a MyChart message to my doctor. She started cutting my metformin. Within 2 months, my type 2 diabetes was reversed. No more metformin at all. My numbers were back to normal after only 2 months of ingesting this oil. Then once I start ingesting the oil, what happens is the oil goes in and it detoxifies. So it starts to try and find homeostasis in your body. And literally, it was almost every week I had another medicine or another supplement gone. It was very fast. Now, for people that don't have cannabis, that's tough. There lots of my withdrawals all my withdrawals I did before, I did with other medications. I use pharmaceuticals to get off of pharmaceuticals because the withdrawals are so bad.
Right.
But the last time, in 2015, that's when I decided to do cannabis. And now my days, I use this. These are my capsules that are made with infused coconut oil, and this is something that can just be made at home even. I've made this several times, at home. And you take the plant matter, and it is done really on a really slow and low cook method in a slow cooker. And that's what my medicine is every day. Depending on what plant, what strain I use is going to give me, different reactions. Right. I do have a really bad shoulder tic that was caused by one of my meds, the Phenagrin that I took for nausea. It left me with a permanent shoulder tic. I took it for 7 years. Oh. And my neurologist was the one who confirmed that for me. And if I don't have cannabis in me, it goes crazy. It goes crazy. And now that I have a pacemaker on my left side, I have to be really careful. And right now I take my capsules about 2 to 3 times a day, depending on my pain level. Right now, the strength of these, I'm taking about 4 of them, so 12 capsules a day. With that, and then these are my medibles that I have. This is actual candy that I made. It's just a hard candy, like a Lifesaver lozenger, and it's made with just with corn syrup, sugar, and the cannabis coconut oil. The same thing that's in my capsules, the same thing that's in here, I actually put in here. Mm-hmm. And that's what makes this medicated. And so I can take a piece of this and suck on this, and it starts to get into me sublingually. Mm-hmm. And so within about 15 minutes, I start to feel something. And usually it's that edge again, that edge that just kind of washes away. But the amount of healing that I got in such a short amount of time from May 9th to the end of the year was incredible. Was just incredible. So we're talking about May, June, July, August, September, October, November, 7 months, December, 8 months. In 8 months, my life did a complete 180.